This video starts to discuss part 2 of the color separation notes and project for the ampersand color separation project. So the first video that I gave you was dealing with inline outline stroke from part 1. This section is going to clarify part 2. Even though part 2 was technically at the end of the part 1 video, we're going to pick up at the end of the ampersand production and then start part 2. So I wanted to kind of pick up, and it follows the notes. So under the section where it has the print production color separation, one thing I wanted to mention to you was in the first video, I did say that this was a color separation for everything except screen printing, but what I wanted to clarify is that the print production color separation that you're learning how to do in the video part 1 and video part 2 deals with things like flyers, magazines, posters, calendars, booklets, package designs, like a Pop-Tart box, potato chip wrapper. So basically any type of print production that would be on a paper or a paper-like substrate. It does not include for an actual screen printed t-shirt. We're going to get into that screen printed t-shirt section in part 3. I'm going to pick up at the very end of the first session. And so I have everything created and saved from where we left off. One thing I wanted to show you is that if you do apply an effect in the appearance panel as we did before, you can see where I applied the scribble effect here. If you decide that you no longer want an effect or you want to change an effect, you can simply expand under the stroke option in the appearance palette. If you expand that, it's going to show you the effect here that was applied. So if I click that, then I can simply select this like I would a layer and then just hit the little trash can or the delete option, and then it will actually take that off. So that's an option if you decide that you no longer want an effect applied. Now, under this section, I specifically explained that you cannot have an 8.5 by 11 design printed onto an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper in order to print color bars, registration marks for color separations. So I just wanted to recap that again for part 2. So if you go under view and you go to rulers and you choose show rulers, and the shortcut for that is Command R, then it is going to show you that this is not an 8.5 by 11 size. So you need to indicate on your notes page what size that it is. So it is 6 inches wide. You can see that with the ruler here, by 4 inches high or 4 inches tall. Now, it is not a standard 8.5 by 11 because you have to have room outside of your print area, meaning the part that you can cut off and throw away when the job is complete, that must fit onto the printed page. So therefore, in order to be able to have room to cut or trim, you have to print onto a larger sheet of paper than the actual final production size would be. So in this case, it's a 4 by 6 or a 6 by 4 if you say width precedes height, and then you're printing it to an 8.5 by 11 standard letter sheet of paper in order to accommodate the color separation guides. Okay, so when you're ready to do that, then you're simply going to go to File, Print. Now in the other video, I explained how to go to the black and white printer, which you will not have on your computer because this is a printer that is located in the graphic design classroom. So this is our black and white printer. So you would not actually physically have to print this unless you were a student in the classroom. So that these printers will change dependent upon where you work, what you have loaded, and if you have a company that may have an image setter or another device, or you may have a separate device at home. What you should all have though, however, is the PostScript option under the Adobe PostScript file. And then when you go there, you're going to choose these options to the left. So again, under General, you're going to leave it on your US letter size sheet of paper. You are not going to scale. So you're going to leave it as Do Not Scale so that it maintains the 6" by 4" ratio. Under the marks and bleed, you are going to click all printers marks so that it does include trim, crop, registration, and color bars. And then under output, you're going to change mode from composite to separations host-based. And I explained that host-based is going to be specific for the laser printers. You may have a RIP in a company, which stands for raster image processor, which may be helpful. Okay, you should only have the printer icons for the 2 Pantone colors that you have selected within your design. And again, just to reiterate, those 2 colors do not have to be the same colors I have chosen in the demo. You can choose 2 different colors as long as they are Pantone colors. Now, if a process color were to be selected, so for example, if you opened your file and this process black was chosen or had the little printer icon, the first thing you would need to do is cancel this and then go back into your document and figure out where that process black is located. Sometimes it could be something that you typed. It could be an outline that you forgot to change from the default black, because typically this process black is going to come from the default black. So it may just be simply somewhere that you forgot you had that color. Now, if you go back and you look very carefully and cannot find a process black anywhere in your document, but for some reason it keeps popping up when you go to save or print your document, then you can just simply turn off the printer icon and it will take that process black off of your printed or output document. All right, so then once you get to this point, then you're going to click save. You're going to save this. I'm choosing to save it just as a half demo. You would save it with your last name _ first initial _ and then of course whatever your project name is going to be. I'm going to save it into my graphic design ColorSep part 1 for now. I'm going to save, and then it is going to generate the PostScript file. And again, just to recap, it will not automatically show you a default. So I can go find the file that I just saved, double click, open, and it should give you the Pantone 151. And then if you scroll down, which is your outline, then your inside fill is your Pantone 339, and it'll give you all of your registration marks and information provided. So that should get you through to the end of part 2. And then the next video will pick up with how to do it for a screen printing shirt in part 3.